The field of the known is an activity of thought and memories. When the life is lived only from the field of the known, only from the field of the memories, thoughts, stories, identifications, attachments, then there is hardly any beauty in life. There is hardly any deep joy in life. Because then we are living in a very small, narrow circle of the known, projected by our thoughts, our memories, our past stories. There is no space. And to deeply live the joy of life, the beauty of life, to really feel this deep love inside, there has to be space, a stillness. And this space and stillness comes from the space of the unknown. Is it possible that our lives are guided by this energy of the unknown? Then this unknown can look after the known. The known has its right place and not dominating every corner of our life, every space of consciousness. So, can the consciousness be freed from the clutches of the known, from the clutches of thoughts, memories? Can the consciousness be light as the feather of a bird? Without this quality of the unknown, which is the quality of the heart, of love, life is so heavy. And why should life be lived with huge burden of past memories, sorrows, hurts, struggle, becoming, conflict? Then we are wasting this precious gift of life, this sacred gift of life. So, can we ask deeply in our hearts, what does it mean to live from the unknown? Because whatever we know is so limited. Of course, there is a role of thought, of memories in the world to survive, to function. But there is also a deep sense of beauty, of joy, of stillness, which can be lived from moment to moment. If we are not lost in the world of the known, in the world of the attachments, desires, becoming, struggle, so can there be an awakening of this energy of the unknown, which is perhaps all the time there, but our minds are too busy to perceive it, to see it, to live it. Can mind know anything deeply? It will always know from fragmentation. It will always create this duality of the observer and the observed. Mind lives in duality. Mind is a process of duality. Thought is a movement in duality, in opposites. So whatever it knows is limited to its past knowledge. But the unknown has no limits. The space of heart has no limit because it has no center of ego. When there is no center, then there is no periphery, then there is no border. The space becomes unlimited. That's why the space of love is unlimited. The space of beauty is unlimited. The space of deep joy is unlimited because there is no center of ego in this space. In the space created by thought, by mind, there is always a center. There is always an ego. That's why this space becomes limited, narrow. So can we live life from this quality of the unknown, from this space of the unknown? Can we see the great beauty of this energy of the unknown? And in this field of the unknown, there is no fear. There is no sorrow. Fear and sorrow belong to the field of the thought, of the known. Thought creates fear and sorrow by escaping from what is, from the fact, from the reality. Thought is always reacting to the reality and turning that reality into an idea, into a dream, into a story, into a non-reality, into an illusion. And when thought escapes from the reality, it always lives with the fear, with the sorrow. So thought creates this fear and sorrow and then tries to end fear and sorrow. How it is possible? If fear and sorrows are to be ended, the thought has to stop. Don't make any effort, any movement in trying to do anything psychologically. Because thought cannot end fear and sorrow. It is responsible for fear and sorrow. So how can it end? The fear and sorrow can only end when thought stops escaping. When thought stops reacting to what is, to reality, and project any sense of time in future, in past. Thought creates time, the psychological time, in the form of becoming, ambition, identification, attachment, comparison. Thought creates fear by escaping from what is, and then from this fear comes this whole sense of trying to become something, struggle, achievement, envy. So the whole field of sorrow is the field of thought, the field of psychological time. And when we are living with psychological time, as J. Krishnamurti always says, we are living with sorrow. We are living with something false. And as long as we are living with false, with illusions, there will be suffering, there will be fear. So stepping out of this field of suffering is to step out of the field of psychological time. And it happens only by paying total attention to this field of time, the field of thought. In total attention, the field of time dissolves. It can be seen for what it is. When there is a seeing of what is as it is, when illusion is seen as it is, the power of illusion is gone. The field of psychological time gathers power, energy from our bodies, from our brains, from all our senses. Then there is no energy left to live life fully. So is it possible to bring back this energy into the field of the attention, into the field of the awareness, into seeing? When the energy is available for observation, for deep listening, for attention, then the field of psychological time has not much energy to dominate our lives, to dominate our consciousness. Because the pool of energy, the source of energy is the same. Either we waste it into the field of thought, into the field of psychological time, into projections, into stories, hurts, pleasures, pursuing non-essential things, then all our energy is wasted into unnecessary pursuits. So is it possible to see that energy is conserved, is saved to live life deeply from this ground of the unknown, from this space of the heart? Then there is a perception of beauty in life. There is a perception of joy. There is a perception of stillness. And without stillness, joy and beauty, without a sense of deep love and compassion, life has no meaning. Then what are we doing on this earth? Just destroying earth out of our deep ignorance, out of our deep illusions? Then we are hurting earth, hurting nature, hurting other human beings in wars, in violence. Then we are betraying the sacred gift of life. Can we stop betraying? Can we stop going in the direction of destruction? Can we stop moving towards any illusion, towards field of the hatred? Can we refuse to participate in any war, in any violence, in any aggression? Can we allow ourselves to live from the field of the unknown, from the field of the heart? The real shift is from the field of the thought to the field of the love. How does this shift happen? That we stop living life in the field of thoughts, memories, the conditioned mind, and shift to this field of the unknown, the field of the heart, the field of the stillness. This shift happens here and now just by looking deeply inside, listening deeply inside. Because this energy of awareness, the energy of the unknown, is all the time knocking at the door. We have to just open the door. The door opens when the mind is completely still, when it is in pause, it's not trying to do anything. Then the door opens gently, softly, and there is a breeze, a fresh breeze of the unknown, of life,